Hello and welcome to the Jesuit Schools Network's 50th anniversary celebration. I'm Julia Andretta. I am the communications coordinator for the Jesuit Schools Network, and I'm joined today by Gretchen Kane, who has agreed to talk to me a little bit about her experience with the JSN. Good morning, Gretchen. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Julia. Doing great. Glad to be invited to be part of this great celebration.
Oh, yeah, glad to have you. So let's just get started for people who may not know you with a little bit about yourself, where you are now, what your connection is to Jesuit education.
Hi, well, I'm Gretchen Kane. I'm a native of New Orleans, Louisiana. Amazingly, have no accent. So most people don't know that I'm from New Orleans. Just kidding. This is my 41st year in Catholic secondary education. And I spent 17 of those years with the Jesuits. And so I worked from 1987 until 2001 at Jesuit High School in New Orleans, an all boys secondary school of probably over 1,200 students. I finished my career there as the academic assistant principal, and then I joined the then JSEA, now JSN, in 2001 and moved to Washington, D.C., and worked there as the associate vice president. Now, if you want to know where I am now,
Yes, absolutely.
now I'm the president of Ursuline Academy in Dallas. It is an all-girls secondary school of about 860 students.
That's amazing. That's great. Well, thank you. So let's just jump right in. Let's start with how would you, oh, nope, I already talked about that. Let's move on. So this first question sounds a little bit like a quiz question, but I promise it's not a quiz. Without looking at the JSN's mission statement, how would you describe the JSN/JSEA's mission, and in what ways do you feel it has fulfilled that mission in the last 50 years?
Wow. Often people ask me about my time with the JSEA and what kind of organization it was. So I usually say that the JSEA, now JSN, is a research, resource, and service organization to, at the time I was there, 47 Jesuit high schools across the country. And I think it has absolutely fulfilled its mission by providing incredible research and resources for administrators and faculty of those schools. So yes, absolutely.
Ah. So in talking about those resources, those are actually what I'd like to ask about next. In terms of resources, we have a lot of documents that have come out of the JSEA, JSN. What come to mind automatically are like the standards and benchmarks fairly recently, what makes a Jesuit school Jesuit, the grad at grad, are kind of what we've been calling the greatest hits. So what is a document that's come out of the JSEA/JSN in the last 50 years that really stands out to you now, and what about it was so impactful?
It's a great question, Julia. Remember, I come from a career of being a teacher. So I was a teacher for many years, and then I was the director of faculty and curriculum. So kind of an academic assistant principal, if you will. So what speaks to me in the many documents, and all wonderful documents, believe me, probably was Ralph Metz's book, Ignatius Knew, because it really did align with the spiritual exercises and the pedagogy. And obviously, one of the things in the 90s and early 2000s that we focused on was the Ignatian pedagogical paradigm. So I would say those two were most impactful in terms of the work I was doing at Jesuit schools. But for me now, even looking back now, I think 2020 Vision, the planning workbook, is probably one of the most solid documents that I turn to even often today.
Yeah. I actually I was surprised, like I hadn't thought about 2020 vision in a while, and then I was like, oh my gosh, that's this year. And it's incredible, like how like oh gosh, now I'm blanking on the word, but it's incredible how like relevant yeah, that it still is and how much it envisioned for this milestone.
Yep.
So again, we talked about the research and resources. Again, kind of like piggybacking off of that, the JSEA, JSN have also offered historically a lot of programming. Again, greatest hits, we've got the seminars, we have the colloquia, we've had the symposia, cohort gatherings. And so this is kind of a similar question, just about a different topic of what's a JSEA or JSN program that you were a part of that really stands out to you now? And again, what about that did you find impactful?
It's a tough question because there's so many good ones. I think for me, probably what got me inspired and really passionate about Jesuit education, even though I had several years of teaching in it, was my first colloquium in 1995 in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that time, Carl Myros was the president, and Father Joe O'Connell and Father Ralph Metz were the vice presidents. And man, they were on fire. And I was just so inspired by their passion and their intelligence. And so that got me really started. I didn't really know what I was doing yet, but it just got me really excited.
Mm-hmm.
The the thing that really, I think, turned things around, and maybe others may not even mention this particular program, but I was part, and I think Donna Andrade was as well, and it was the 1999 think tank. And
Mm-hmm.
the 1999 think tank brought a lot of experts together to DC for several days, and then compiled all the information. And that's really what spurred the 2020 Vision Planning Workbook. So that program really inspired me. And then I guess the most fun for me were the symposia. So I was invited to the 1997 symposium in Denver. That was my first start with getting to meet other Jesuit educators. Then, obviously the colloquium the next year. But when I joined JSEA as the associate vice president in 2004, part of my role was to put on the symposium. And
Mm-hmm.
so the symposium, I have kind of a special place in my heart for each of the three symposia that I was involved in. And finally, probably the most fun were the leadership seminars.
Mm-hmm.
In my 3 years at JSEA, I got to be the administrator reflector, which was the most fun job of all of the seminars. And I do think it's just such an outstanding program, and really a model that most institutions don't have, or religious schools really don't have. And it just is a beautiful model.
I agree. I also have a special place in my heart for the symposia. My first week of work was at a symposium. So it was a real baptism by fire, but it was so much fun, and they are so inspiring. And the seminars too. I helped out with seminars a couple times, and I agree. They're definitely the most. It might just be the smaller group even, but they're so much fun. Um, so again, the questions definitely follow a theme. They're all kind of similar, but this one I want you to tell me about a JSEA or JSN. I suppose it would be JSEA. I'm just going to say JSEA. Um, but a JSEA staff member, past or present, who had a positive impact on you and on the way that you approached Jesuit education.
Gosh, that's a great, it's impossible to just pick one. So I'm going to pick the three guys I worked with so closely for 3 years. Father Joe O'Connell, brilliant, brilliant. Uh, it was funny working with him because our Myers-Briggs were probably just the opposite. And I probably drove him crazy. Ralph Metz, totally brilliant as well. And Dr. Bernie Bouillet. These three guys, I left Jesuit in 2001. I was part of an administrative team, and this is not, there's no arrogance in this. I just always felt when I was there, I was the smartest person in the room. When I arrived at JSEA in 2001, clearly I was the dumbest person in the room. And that is always, I think, good for our growth. I grew so much in everything I was able to do because of these three gentlemen, all with different types of personalities, and but all with just solid work ethic. And when we worked together, we got so much accomplished that it just was very fulfilling. And this is my second president's job since leaving the JSEA in 2004, and there's absolutely no way I would have been ready to be a president of a religious-sponsored school without my work with those three phenomenal guys.
Yeah. No, I've heard nothing. I unfortunately didn't get to work with any of them, but I've heard nothing but good things, especially as I've been undertaking this project. They seem like just incredible. And obviously their writings too are just incredible. Um, so my next question is, what is a specific fond memory that you associate with the JSCA? So like a moment frozen in time.
Gosh, that's a hard one. I looked at those questions, and I'm going to just, two things stand
Okay.
out. One, so in 1997, there had been a symposium before, but it really hadn't been organized by Father O'Connell and Father Metz in the way it was in 97. In 97, they asked one person, one representative from each Jesuit high school to convene in Denver at Regis University. And it was so important that they did this because we didn't hang with colleagues. We were forced to meet other people from other schools, and we got so close over those 5 days. And I remember distinctly four of us at the end wanting to thank Father O'Connell and Father Metz and writing a song, JSEA, to the tune of YMCA. And we had so much fun.
Oh
And
my
I
gosh.
hope I could I'll
I was
send
gonna say, please tell me
I
there's a
find
recording.
words. I think I can't sing worth a lick, but it was like, I mean, it was just so much fun. And the second fond memory is the following year, we were asked to do the opening presentation at the colloquium in Seattle in 1998. And a group of folks, I was chairing the Ignatian Identity team at Jesuit High School at the time, and our group did the opening presentation to 550 people in an auditorium there in Seattle. Uh, it was called the Be a Goose video program, and it was about being a good colleague and how we work together as Jesuit educators. And I think those are just two fun, great times that didn't have anything to do with my actual work at JSEA, but it was before I joined JSEA and just had a phenomenal time in both.
Yeah. And I think that's a common thread I've noticed too, is like there obviously are all these, they're the great documents we talked about, they're the great programs, but really the interpersonal connections are also just a huge, like just I've called them the in-between moments of those connections you form on like a human level with other people that you might otherwise not have gotten a chance to hang out with. I think that's another just great value added, and a lot of great work and like brainstorming and creativity also comes out of those relationships. So I think that's absolutely part of the magic.
And when you have those relationships and you meet such special people, when I did join the JSEA and needed people to be on my steering committee for a symposium, I knew exactly who to
Oh
choose
yeah,
because I had
absolutely.
already met some fantastic people, and we just worked so well together. And it was just a beautiful time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just to sort of wrap up, if there is there anything that you'd like to leave us with, anything that you want to make sure you mention, or just anything that you want to say as we wrap up?
I just want to thank JSEA for all the great work it's done, all of the great leaders JSEA has helped to develop, and really always being able to live in that center of that world of both innovation and tradition. Jesuit schools do it well because I think of the leadership of the network, and I'm just so grateful. And I'll leave by saying, happy 50th anniversary to you, JSEN. Have a great one.
Thanks. Thank you so much for your time.
Sorry, it's the facilities director, so you can just edit this part out.
I
He's
absolutely
calling until I answer the phone.
no worries at all. No worries at all. You ended that so nicely. I can probably even just cut it right there.